Good morning to you as we now go into our business conversation this morning on the day break. The Botswana Stock Exchange, that's the Bse, in collaboration with Botswana High Commission in the United Kingdom, Botswana Investment and Trade Centre, the BITC, as well as local brokers, recently conducted a roadshow in the UK. The Bse, which boasts market capitalization of about 600 billion pula, says the roadshow intended to showcase investment opportunities offered by the local stock exchange, raise awareness about Botswana's capital market investment potential and Botswana's growing economy among international investors. The Botswana Stock Exchange Chief Executive Officer, Mr. Thapelo Tsheole, joins me in studio this morning to share the outcomes of this roadshow. Mr. Tsheole, thank you very much for joining me.
Good morning.
Erra, this is the first Bse International Roadshow, and it just happens to be in the UK. Perhaps just start by letting us know why it was critical to do this and why the UK.
Yeah, actually, this is the second international roadshow, but this one was bigger. The first one, we did it in the US last year. It was much more quieter because we were still testing the waters. But we chose the UK as the second destination and as a bigger international roadshow for the first time in the UK, mainly because we have seen a growth potential of UK investors' participation in Botswana. Over the years, we have got an increasingly number of investors from the UK in terms of value and in terms of numbers. Actually, the UK have overtaken the US as the major investors in our Botswana Stock Exchange market.
Okay. I'd like you to expand a little bit on that. I was going to bring it in a little bit later, but perhaps because you've brought it up, let's talk about that current level of participation of UK investors in our local market. You just mentioned it, you're saying, they've actually overtaken the US. So just expand on that. Who are we talking about? And you're saying it's really, really great participation. So just elaborate.
Yeah. If we talk about the daily activities at the market or in terms of trading levels, the buying and selling of shares, about 35 to about 45% of participation in the market is done by foreign investors. And of those foreign investors, majority of them are from the UK market. And this is mainly because sometimes back, I think 3 to 4 years ago, we took a strategy as the exchange to get accreditation to the customs and revenue of the UK. And this opened up a recognition of the Bse among the only 3 stock exchanges in Africa for investors to invest in our market and be recognized by the revenue and customs department in the UK. And of those 40% or 45% of the foreign investors, majority of that or more than half of that is investors from the UK. And the investors varies. These are asset managers, who hold on assets on behalf of customers, maybe high net worth individuals, or maybe pension funds, or investment firms that are investing for people for profit. And the other investors are your normal retail investors in the UK market, who also makes a significant number in investing in the Botswana market.
Okay. Now, we understand you were joined by the BITC, of course, and, this was in collaboration with the Botswana High Commission in the United Kingdom. Which other stakeholders joined you on this roadshow from our local, financial markets?
We had a significant number of our market participants from Botswana who joined us. We had listed entities. We had FNB, we had Stanbic, we had Tsheole Holdings, we have Absa. They were also part of the entourage to the UK, and we also have brokers who joined us to the UK, and custodians. Custodians are the ones where, when foreign investors come and invest in our market, normally they hold these assets on their behalf in the local markets. They also joined us in the roadshow.
I'd like to know who the participants were as far as the investors now that you're able to attract on the UK side. Who were they? Are there any that you'd like to mention, perhaps as companies or investors that you're able to attract now to this platform?
Yeah, we met. Firstly, we had a big meeting at the start where we had a lot of other asset managers in the UK market who are investing in our market. And then after that, we did a number of one-to-one meetings We met Citibank. Citibank is a big bank, global bank that does a lot of investment across the African market. We met JP Morgan. JP Morgan is also a big asset management. We also met some technology providers who we want to use their technology to develop our own market. We met the R3 is a company that does some innovative products. We also met and visited the London Stock Exchange. As you might be aware, London Stock Exchange provide us with the trading system that we are using. And therefore, I think in terms of further technology advancement, we met with them and discussed our collaboration in terms of how we want to improve our technology advancement. And then also we met Botswana in diaspora, as they are called. These are Botswana who are living in the UK. Who mainly spend a lot of time staying there, working there. So we also had a forum for them, and most of them attended our meeting. Some of them actually invest in our market. And that's some of the people that we actually met. But we met a lot more other people within that week. It's only that I can't mention all of them.
Of course.
Yes.
Now, perhaps looking at what your objectives were, what your targets were when you left, and what the outcomes were, would you say your engagement with these investors and other international, stakeholders were able to bear the kind of fruit that you were hoping for that will benefit the local capital market, in the long term?
Yeah, I think this was an extremely successful roadshow. Actually, it was much successful than the US one because we managed to meet people who, some of them ordinarily don't invest in our market, but they don't understand the matrix of our market. They don't understand where we are as a stock exchange, how we trade, and where we want to go. And we're also able to understand from that perspective, in other, what is the investment criteria that they use to invest in the market. And therefore, it also gives us an opportunity as a market to look into ourselves and also try to develop those matrices or those criteria in order to meet them and to invest in that, to attract those investors. But sometimes also it's very important because there are a lot of other people that we do business with in the UK, like your Chartered Institute of Investment. I mean, we have never met them. We're always talking. We're always on Zoom and then doing it. But we're able to physically meet and have a discussion with them. So I'll say it was an extremely successful roadshow. We are looking to more increased investors from the UK. And I think they have actually invited us for the second leg of the roadshow, I think, which will happen during the UK Africa Summit sometimes in April, and then we'll make up a sort of an actual bigger impact.
Okay. Now, you mentioned earlier, perhaps we were ill-informed in the beginning, saying this was the first roadshow. But like you mentioned, it's the first on this magnitude, right? Yes. You've had a smaller one in the US. Let's speak to other big markets, perhaps, that, you are looking to also then take this roadshow to. Are you taking it back to the US? Of course, you mentioned that initially the US one was smaller. So I think, just what the future aspirations as far as this roadshow is concerned. We
will definitely take it to the US again, I think very soon. And then we'll also look at the UIA area, the Middle East area, to look at the roadshow. And the reason why we are doing this is because, we operate a market, and a market is supposed to be composed of different participants from across different investing universe. And therefore, we'll do the US, we'll do the UK, and we'll also do the Middle East, because we do a significant part of the African market. I mean, by virtue of ourselves holding the presidency of African stock exchanges, I think we have made an impact in the African market.
Absolutely. Yeah. Now, the BSE is looking to self-list next year. It's something that we've unpacked here, numerous times. Perhaps share with us how this courting of international investors could help the BSE on that journey. Is there any correlation there? Yes,
there is a correlation because, foreign investors need a certain level of governance. They need a certain level of standards in order for them, or as a criteria for them to invest in a market. And one of these criteria or one of these requirements is that they need a company that is properly managed, that is properly governed. And therefore, the current structure of us, although we are properly governed and managed, they need a company that is listed, because we're talking about listing. And therefore, when we talk about a company that is listed, you are also saying to the general investors there that there are proper or more enhanced governance principles around the management and the running of the company. And therefore, it is very crucial that the BSE self-list. It is very important for it to attract more investors when it's actually self-listed.
Now, I had this conversation with Raboloko, who was here, I think about, a couple of weeks ago. The recently appointed board chairperson, Ms. Neo Moki. Let's speak to her recent appointment as the board chair. First of all, as a woman. Second of all, her portfolio. How does her presence help position the BSE? We also saw her playing a very active role in this UK Roadshow. So please speak to that.
Yeah, I think it was a good appointment. Now is a distinction graduate at Oxford University. She runs a portfolio of more than $700 billion. She's a woman. She's young. She knows the investment landscape, and therefore, I think when we went together for the roadshow in the UK, I think she actually reinforced our team, because the investors need to know that the people who are running the market, they need to know their background, they need to know their integrity, and therefore I think she played a very crucial role in terms of reinforcing our roadshow. She did some presentations also on behalf of the BSE, and therefore we are able to reinforce the market in terms of confidence in the market, integrity in terms of the market, in terms of the people who are actually running the market in Botswana. And she's based in Milan full time. She works in Italy, in Milan. And she is assisting us from working from there. So we can see at BSE, we are really a mindset changed organization.
Absolutely. We
don't necessarily need the board chairperson to be based in Botswana. She's a Botswana, and she fully participates even when she's based outside the country. And therefore, I think she's a very good addition to the team.
Absolutely. Perhaps let me not leave out, the other stakeholders that you took on the roadshow. Perhaps let's just look at, how this roadshow could have also then been beneficial to the rest of the, the stakeholders. Of course, you've given us a holistic, overview. But looking at the fact that we had, the likes of the BITC there, you mentioned local brokers, you mentioned other, listed companies from the financial sector. How was this for them? What kind of feedback, were you able to get from them as participants?
Yeah, I think we've got very positive feedbacks. And one thing that I also want to mention quite clearly is that, the roadshow was also funded through contributions by listed entities.
Wow.
Some of them did not even go to the roadshow. But I think what we have learned going forward is that we have to do it probably maybe mid-year, or a little bit towards the beginning of second quarter, because when you do it by the end of the last quarter here, I mean, a lot of people are already engaged in some activities. It was a good learning experience for them. It was a good interaction to them, because as companies, they were able to present their operations and where they're actually based. And I think it was value for money for them to have undertaken the roadshow. And indeed, I can assure you that those who went, they will definitely be going again in April with us when we do the UK Africa Summit.
And what is in the pipeline, as well for the BSE? Of course, constantly there's something happening with the BSE. It's very clear you have a very robust, strategy that you're currently rolling out. And we just recently saw, a graduation of, I think this was your 6th speedy cohort. Yeah. Quite a bit that is happening, speaking to SEA, so perhaps just let us know what it is that we can also expect. What are you working on? Of course, there's the self-listing. How is that process coming up as well? Yeah,
I'll openly and confidently say we're having the best year in the history of the BSE. The number of instruments listed in the BSE last year was 70. We're closing the year at 130. Turnover levels last year, this time was around less than 2 billion. We are closing the year at almost 4 billion plus. Market capitalization as of last year was around 400 million or 395 million. We are closing the year at about 593 billion. We also have a very good listing pipeline of companies that want to come to the market, both in terms of the instruments, the bonds, both in terms of the equities, the companies that are going to be listing. We are working on listings that are coming up. We have also, most importantly, had a very big interest of companies that are operating regionally that want to come and list in our market, because we are in competition with Mauritius and with South Africa. That's a fact. And this market historically have been very strong. But now we are seeing a lot of companies in the region drifting towards the BSE. I recently went to Zambia to see a very big manufacturing company that manufactures fertilizers. That company wanted to list in the BSE. They have submitted their application and we have approved it last week. We're seeing a company from Namibia in the property sector that wants to come to our market to list in our market. And therefore, these are the efforts of a long-term strategy that we have been doing over the past 7 years. And therefore, we're generally having a very good year.
Clearly, and keep up the great work. Thank you very much, Mr. Tsheole. That is the Botswana Stock Exchange Chief Executive Officer. Really just unpacking the recently ended UK tour, as well as really plans going forward. What is it that we can expect from the BSE? Thank you very much for joining me this morning, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.
All right. And coming up in just a little bit will be the news at the top.